but there should be enough left over even after that where you can take out and buy other investments for the benefit of your household. And whether that's additional real estate, maybe some short-term rentals, whether that's putting money in like a brokerage account and investing in stocks and bonds and mutual funds, whether that's putting some money in like annuity contracts or life insurance contracts for guaranteed income and such. I think if you own a practice, you should be able to have the ability to do all of those things. So, that's one of the advantages of being a business owner is that you can do that. And if you do all those things, look, you could have, 5 to 6 different income sources for yourself.
You didn't start your practice to barely hang on. I'll guess you started it for freedom, impact, and profit. This is Therapy for Your Money. I'm your host, Julie Harris. I'm an accountant, author of Profit First for Therapists, and CEO of Green Oak Accounting. Over the years, my team and I have partnered with hundreds of private practice owners, whether they're just getting started, scaling into thriving groups, or even preparing to sell. We've seen it all, and we know exactly what makes a practice tick financially. On Therapy for Your Money, I'll help you build a business that truly works for you. You'll get quick, actionable tips and episodes so that you can grow a profitable practice, increase your financial confidence, and pay yourself unapologetically. Because your work is way too important for you to burn out or go broke doing it. Love the podcast? Make sure to follow and give us a 5-star review. Here is Therapy for Your Money. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Therapy for Your Money. On today's episode, I am chatting with Eric Miller, who is the CEO of Econologics, a financial planning firm that works with practice owners. Eric, good to have you on the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Julie. Good to see you.
Yeah. So Eric and I have met a couple of times on the conference scene, I would say. And I always have great conversations with him. So I thought it would be great to have him on the podcast and talk about kind of something that I hear often just from owners, which is a lot of owners think like, it's not a big deal if I don't need to, if I can't contribute to retirement because my practice is in my retirement fund, right? And that kind of thinking of it will have to do and it will be fine and that's going to be enough. So Eric, what do you think? Do you agree, disagree? Loaded question.
My grandma always used to say to me, Eric, you never want to rely on one of anything in life. And I thought that was pretty sage advice. I tried to listen to her as much as I could. Didn't always work. But I will say 100 unequivocally that I have heard people say the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Julie, if you have like a practice that's going to be worth 7 or 10 or $5 million, then maybe you're right. Maybe that would be your sole retirement fund. But for most people, that's not really the case. And the practice values, why they have went up, I don't think that I wouldn't rely 100% just on that as being my sole funding for retirement. So my short answer would be, I wouldn't do that if I were you, just because of that basic concept that we just talked about.
Yeah. And well, so I love what your grandma said about it. I think that's very sage advice. But would you say that owners tend to also overestimate what their practice is worth?
100%. And that makes sense because look, we all, you're a practice owner, I'm a practice owner, we look at it and we're invested in it, not just financially, emotionally.
Absolutely.
This is your baby, all the blood, sweat, and tears, that we put in, energy, effort, all that. And we're like, this thing should be worth a lot of money. Okay. And that's fine. But the reality is it is worth what it's worth based upon some simple factors, right? Profit margin, obviously going to be one. How diversified is the number of producers in the practice? Like, is it just one producer? Is it multiple producers? Does the owner have to be there for this thing to function? There's some other things that obviously are going to have an effect on the value. But I think we all tend to I think it's worth a lot more than what it probably is when you really break it down and do like a professional valuation. So I would say yes, they do. And then they don't think about other things too. I mean, you have, well, in your area, you sell an asset, you're going to have to pay taxes on that thing,
Taxes. Yeah.
and a lot of people have debt too that is going to have to get paid off when you sell the practice. So even if you sold it for $2 million, which is, we'll even say 3 million.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
that
it,
sounds like a great number,
it
but
does.
that's
Yeah.
not what you end up with.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to pay 600,000 in capital gains taxes right
Yeah.
off the bat. Let's say you have, another $400,000 in debt. All of a sudden you're down, 3 million goes down to 2 million pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm,
And is
mm-hmm.
that enough for retirement? Maybe not. So
Yeah.
I just wouldn't rely on one of anything, especially when it comes to retirement.
Okay. So, where would you recommend an owner start then? If they've got a practice, they're putting a lot of effort, blood, sweat, and tears into it. Like, what are
Mhm.
some of the ways that they can diversify their investments?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's definitely multiple areas that you can put your money into. I think the simplest and easiest one would be if you have a qualified plan inside of your business, which I think a lot of people do, either like profit sharing 401k plan or a simple IRA or something like that where you can offer it as a benefit to your people, which a lot of people would appreciate.
Sure.
And then it's a way for you to, divert money that you otherwise would have to pay tax on. And so I think that's definitely a first good place to fund. Unfortunately, I tend to find people only it's their 401k and or their practice and that's it. And I'm like, that still may not be enough.
Okay.
So another area would be like the practice building. So if
Okay.
the real estate, okay. So in the industries that we're in, people that buy, let's say, a physical therapy practice or a veterinary practice or whatever kind of medical practice, they're not going to buy the real estate.
Mm-hmm.
They just want the practice and whatever's inside there, the people and the systems and all of those things. So if you were lucky enough to acquire the building, they still have to pay a lease and they have to pay rent, and you can just collect the rent from
Yeah.
the practice as well, which is we have a lot of people that have done that, I think smartly, and it's been a great income source for them in retirement
Yeah.
because yeah.
I would say same on our side. We have a lot of clients who also own the real estate, whether that's a full building, condo, whatever that ends up
Mhm.
being. Um, as a financial planner, what do you think is the threshold? Like, what makes someone ready to go down that road versus 401k contribution? Like, would you max out 401k before you go start saving for some real estate, or what order would you place that in?
Mm, I don't know. I don't know if I have an order of it. I would just, as the practice becomes more successful and you're diverting some money from the practice cash flow, putting money into an account that you're going to use to acquire a building. I think you can do both at the same time. I think you can fund retirement. And quite honestly, I think you have to look at it from a strategic point of view as well. Yeah, I would like to put as much money into my qualified plans as possible, but having a building, you get the tax benefits from that,
Yeah.
which, there's so it's good, I mean, there's a appreciation of the building, the rate of return on is has been pretty good. So, they're kind of comparable when you look at it from even from all those factors as well. So, I don't know that if you can do both, great. Um, yeah, I don't know if I have that part figured out yet.
Okay. So what I'm hearing though is then no like set rule of thumb. It just depends
Yeah.
on the circumstances.
Yeah, I would think
Maybe
so.
like age or area or there's a lot of factors. And I feel like our listeners generally appreciate when there is a hard and fast, like do this, then this. But
Yeah.
the reality of real life is not always that clear
We
cut.
can't we can't put everything in a little spreadsheet box and think that it's going to be that way. But
Yeah. So what are some of the other buckets that you might consider beyond real estate,
mhm.
retirement?
So, one of the things, and I see your Profit First books back there. Obviously, one of the things I think we both believe in is that you do have to, if you're going to have a profit, you have to prioritize it,
Hmm.
and also you have to prioritize making sure that you take care of your household. And one of the things that we try to impress upon practice owners is that you need to make sure that you're taking a percentage of the practice revenue or portion of the profits, however you want to classify that as, and you're taking that home so that it can be used for other investments outside of just reinvesting back into the practice, which you should obviously do as well, and putting money in your qualified plans, which you should do as well. But there should be enough left over even after that, where you can take out and buy other investments for the benefit of your household. And whether that's additional real estate, maybe some short-term rentals, whether that's putting money in like a brokerage account and investing in stocks and bonds and mutual funds, whether that's putting some money in like annuity contracts or life insurance contracts for guaranteed income and such. I think if you own a practice, you should be able to have the ability to do all of those things. And by having that, because you're not just a worker for a company where you just get a wage and then you just put a portion of your money into your qualified plan. That's pretty much all you can do, if you're spending everything else.
Yeah.
So that's one of the advantages of being a business owner, is that you can do that. And if you do all those things, look, I mean, you could have 5 to 6 different income sources for yourself, and it's not easy to set up. It's not easy to do. The business has to be profitable and viable for all those things to happen. But got plenty of people that are doing that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree, and I also imagine there's some listeners who are thinking like, "Wait, the money that I take home feels tight already. I definitely don't have room for all of those other things." Like, is there kind of an income threshold where you think like you should be able to do more of this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think, a practice that's only doing maybe two, three, $400,000 a year in revenue, like total gross revenue, it'd be
Mhm.
hard to do all of
Yeah.
those things. But once you start getting up in maybe that $1 million range of gross revenue for your practice, I think there should be enough of a profit margin, there where you would be able to do all those things.
Yeah.
So, but then again, I've seen people that are doing, I'm sure you have too, that are doing 2 million, 3 million, 5 million in revenue, still spend everything that they make and then some. So,
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
and I've seen people that are only doing 300,000 that are just like excellent at saving money. I'm like looking at their business account and they got like $200,000 saved in there. I'm like, geez, how did you do that?
How did you manage, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is, it's one of those things where you just have to like have some discipline on money and know where it's going to go before it comes in. And if you can kind of set up your money system, so to speak, where like when a dollar comes in, I know where it's going to go, and it's part of it's going to benefit the business, but part of it's going to benefit my household long term as
Mhm.
well. And the
Mhm.
sooner that you can start that, I think the better. And as the money and the revenue go up, then your account values are going to go up. And I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. I do think it's very easy though for lifestyle creep to
Yes.
come up, right? Like when you start, it's just as easy for someone making $1 million a year, gross in their business, where that's not what they're taking home, but for any additional benefit that they had versus when the business was half the size, to just kind of disappear in a bigger house, a more expensive car, an extra vacation, and it is gone. Like that happens
Yes.
so easily. Do you have any tips for how owners can stay disciplined? Like what are some of the recommendations you have? Because
Yeah,
it's not that easy.
it's a struggle.
Yeah.
I've had so many people that have, had a great year, Eric. So, you know what? We have a $750,000 home that's 4,000 square foot right now, but darn it, we want that $1.5 million home at,
Mhm.
at 7,000 square foot. I'm like, really? Like, is that really going to improve the quality of life that much? In most cases, it doesn't. It just adds more stress
Yeah.
to themselves. I don't know. I guess I kind of go back and forth on this. I want people to be able to enjoy themselves. I want
Sure.
people to be able to have what they want to have. If you want to go buy, a Prada bag and have a $10,000 or $20,000 vacation, you should definitely be able to go do that. Or if you want to have, $100,000 car as opposed to a fully functional $60,000 car, I want you to be able to do that, but it's just the chase in the game. I don't know if it's gonna really improve the quality of your life and your
Yeah.
relationships and all that much, you know?
And I feel like if you wanna do one of those things, knock yourself out, right? Like, you
Yeah.
should have some benefit, but if you're trying to do all of those things, I feel like that's when people really get in trouble, where you want the bigger house and the super expensive car and,
Yeah,
you know, if there's just one thing that you care about, go do that one thing that brings you a lot of joy, but all of them,
I think you're
like,
right. Yeah,
yeah, just
I
make it
think you
really
just have to have a celebrate I want you to celebrate and enjoy it, but you still have to do it responsibly,
yeah.
and just don't get too attached to the material things because, no look, no one's gonna say on your on it's never gonna say on your gravestone, you know, boy, Julie had a Mercedes Benz. Nobody cares.
No one
It,
cares. Yeah.
nobody cares. So, but they care about some of the things that you said to them, some of the kindness that you had to people, the competency that you displayed in your life, the kids that you raised. And they remember those things. They don't
Yeah.
remember what kind of car you had or how many square foot your house was.
How big it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Eric, from your experience, when how is how what are some of the ways that practice owners can get out of their own way when it comes to building wealth?
hmm Well, I think we touched on some of them. I think the biggest thing, though, is just recognize that your household is important, and
Mm, okay.
and your household and the I said this line over the weekend, and let me see if I can say it exactly that I said it because I thought it was kind of good. But I said to people, I want people to prioritize I want people to treat their household with the same professionalism that they do their practice and their
Ooh,
business. Yeah.
I like
Do you
that.
like that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And what I meant by that is the amount of, I mean, in your practice, you keep stats, you look at the money, you look at the production, you handle your people, and you try to get great outcomes and all of those things. And that's where all of your attention is. And I look at your household and it's just like, well, I just take whatever's left over and it's kind of an afterthought.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be an afterthought. Like, I want your household to be financially strong. Obviously, you want it to be debt free. I want you to have multiple income sources, be protected from, taxes and inflation and, lawsuits and all those things. You got to treat it like a business. You really do. And I think that's one area that a lot of practice owners don't do. They don't they look at their household as an afterthought. If there's money left over, that's how I judge how much I can take home.
Yeah.
Okay? And I just take what's left over. And it's like, no. You have to it's okay to prioritize your household. It's not being selfish. It's not being greedy. It doesn't make you immoral or a bad person. um you know the stress of running a business.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be a benefit of it, and
Yeah.
that should be reflected in your household. So I would think that's one thing, if
Okay.
I had to leave with most people, is just make, and I think it's good for your spiritual and mental health that you take care of your household as well.
Treat your household like a business and track your
Yeah.
KPIs. I would say though, Eric, I think most practice owners do not know how much it takes to run their household. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, they don't keep budgets. It's just like I said, they'll bring home just enough to pay their rents, to pay the childcare, to the, car payments and everything else, but they never look any further than that.
Yeah.
Like, it really, your business is there to not only serve, the patients and the community and help your employees, but it has to as well make sure that your household is functioning at a very, very high level.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's what the business, I think, is there to do. So just got to set it up so that it can do that. And
Yeah.
some of the things we talked about today, taking profits, channel them to the household, max funding your retirement, acquiring real estate, all those things will allow your household to function really well.
Yeah. But having that number is a big first step in that, knowing like what does it take?
Yes.
Baseline, good month, bad month. Emergency fund
Hmm.
in the practice. What's your opinion? Yes, no, how much?
Oh, well, 100% yes, just because I think we were all around in 2020 and we saw what happened if
Yeah.
when whatever happens, like if there's an economic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Downturn,
We're
recession,
not we're not
whatever.
we're not Exxon Mobil's that has unlimited access to funds and credit lines and all of those things. So we have to be really, really smart and prudent to make sure that we have plenty of reserves and credit lines and all those things open for access to funds. I mean, I can't promise the next time that all the PPP money and all that stuff's going to be available. I mean, that saved a lot of people's skin,
Yeah. Really.
but it did it at a cost because price of everything went up, tremendously. It seemed like after that. We try to say 2 months. If you have 2 months of business, is that enough? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I guess they're just rules of thumb. But if you had, let's say, 2 months of business expenses in your business savings account, that that would at least give you some little piece, I would think.
Yeah.
Should it be three? I don't know. I just met a guy that had like six, and I'm like, maybe you're holding on to money a little too tight at that
Yeah.
point. You got to let some go and take some home and such. But you've probably seen both in both cases. I mean, you probably met some people that had like, I met one person that had like $1 million in their business checking account. And I'm just
Just in
like,
yeah, just in cash in the
just
check.
like,
Yeah, I have
yeah,
seen that. I have
yeah.
seen that
It's
before
like,
too. Yeah.
that's great. That's great. You're probably missing some other things though, if you're
Yeah.
doing that. So I would say 2 months. I don't know if you have do you have a
My
target?
number's actually the same. Yeah, I
Okay.
usually will say 1 to 2 months worth of expenses,
Hmm.
and I think more would be great, but just it ends up being such a big number that feels so unattainable. If you say 6 months worth of business expenses, I mean, that could be
Yes.
$800,000. It takes
Yeah.
a really, really long time to stockpile that. So if you have 2 months and a credit line,
Yeah.
I think you're in a much better position than someone who needs today's deposits to make payroll tomorrow.
That would give you some time,
Yeah.
if we had a bad event where maybe you have to modify your payroll and, do whatever you have to do to try to survive, that will at least give you some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would definitely be a minimum requirement.
Okay. All right, Eric, as we wrap up today, what is one like quick tip that you have for a practice owner who wants to improve their financial picture today?
Find out where you stand and know your numbers, and I think that there's a number of ways that you can do that, but just understand that you have an ideal condition that you would like to get to, know what that is, and then you can compare it to your current condition so you know what that is, and it just takes away the confusion of the I don't knows and I'm not sures and don't
Yeah,
really, it's like all those things. So, it's January, or actually, God, it's February already. Oh my
it
gosh.
is. Yeah.
January's gone. All right. Get some kind of plan together and just make sure that you're working with the right people that are keeping you accountable and moving you in the direction of where you'd like to go.
Amazing. I love that. And there's still plenty of time. It's only February. There's
It's only
still plenty of time for
February.
the year.
Yeah.
Eric, if any of our listeners are interested in working with you, finding out more about you and Econologics, where can they find you?
Sure. They can just go to Econologics. That'll take them to our website, or Econologics Financial Advisors. And we have, assessments that you can take that will give you, an accurate assessment of where you stand financially, at least in your household, and plenty of other data that is revolved around working with practice owners. So our clients are only in the healthcare space, and most of them are all practice owners. But econologics.com would be the place to go.
Perfect. And we will link that in the show notes as well. Eric, thanks so much for your time today. It was great to chat with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. That's it for today's episode of Therapy for Your Money. Catch us on Instagram and Facebook at Therapy for Your Money Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to Green Oak Accounting on YouTube. Until next time.
The information contained in this podcast represents the host and guest's general opinions and should not be construed as personalized accounting and tax advice. Listeners should consider all facts and circumstances before applying this information and seek appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional. Any info provided does not constitute accounting, tax, or legal advice.